10 years have passed since the world was reduced to ruins. The destruction didn't unfold gradually. It struck in a single day, wiping out everything. A decade later, Earth stands silent and lifeless. No animals roam the land. No crops grow in the soil. Only vicious wild dogs have managed to survive. Clean water has become nearly impossible to find. In this shattered world, survival has turned humans into hunters of their own kind. Amid this merciless landscape, a boy and his father struggle to stay alive. Their story begins deep within a dense forest, where the two are out hunting together. The father grips a handmade bow, carefully aims, and releases an arrow toward a wild boar. The arrow hits its mark, wounding the animal. But despite the pain, the boar bolts into the woods. Determined, the father and son follow the trail of blood. For a while, the path is clear, but as they reach a swampy patch, the trail vanishes. Exhausted and starving, they're forced to return home empty-handed. On their way back, something catches their eye. Tire tracks imprinted in the dirt. Curiosity drives them to follow the marks, which lead to an abandoned car. Together, they begin searching the vehicle. The boy, named Jack, climbs inside and opens the glove compartment. Inside, he finds a packet of biscuits. In this devastated world, that packet feels like buried treasure. Overcome with hunger, Jack quietly begins eating without telling his father. But as he munches away, his hand accidentally presses the car horn. A loud blast echoes through the forest. The sound draws a pack of wild dogs, snarling and alert. Sensing danger, Jack and his father quickly hide in the back seat. The dogs circle the car, sniffing and peering inside. For tense moments, they linger, but eventually they leave. That terrifying encounter makes one thing painfully clear. In this silent world, even the smallest sound can summon death. As they head back, Jack finishes the remaining biscuits and carelessly tosses the wrapper aside. A tiny mistake, one that will soon become the biggest regret of his life. After some time, the father and son return to their hidden shelter deep within the forest. It's camouflaged with branches and wooden debris, designed to look like nothing more than a pile of shrubs from the outside. Inside, another companion awaits, a young woman, Jack's wife. She's suffering from severe injury to her back. The wound is so serious that without proper treatment, her days are numbered. Fortunately, they still have a few antibiotic pills left. Just one pill a day is enough to keep her condition from worsening. In this broken world, medicine is more precious than gold. The next morning, while Jack is relieving himself in the open, he suddenly hears voices behind him. He turns around and sees strangers approaching. Panic grips him. He hurriedly pulls up his pants and bolts back into the cabin. Peeking through a crack in the door, he watches the figures draw closer. Fear overwhelms him, and he collapses to the ground. The noise wakes his father, who instantly senses danger. Seeing a large group heading toward the cabin, he quickly gathers a few essentials, stuffs them into a backpack, and hands it to Jack, who's still shaken but beginning to regain composure. Without wasting time, the father throws a wooden plank to unlatch the door and guides Jack and his injured wife out through the back exit. But her condition is critical, and they can't travel far. Faced with a heartbreaking decision, the father hides them inside a nearby septic tank and steps out alone to confront the intruders. He fights with everything he has, managing to injure a few of them. But then someone strikes him with a wooden club, and another man seizes the moment to end his life. Jack witnesses his father's death with his own eyes. The shock and grief leave both him and his wife trembling. Yet somehow, they summon the strength to stay calm. The raiders ransack the cabin, and on their way out, they stumble upon Jack's backpack, accidentally dropped during the escape. Inside, they find the precious medicine, the last hope for Jack's wife's survival. Jack also sees them dragging his father's lifeless body away. As the group passes near the septic tank, the leader notices something unusual and tries to open the lid. But Jack, from inside, uses all his strength to hold it shut. Unable to lift it properly, the leader bends down to peek inside. The stench hits him hard, and with nothing clearly visible, he recoils in disgust. That moment brings a brief sigh of relief to Jack and his wife. Once the raiders were gone, Jack slowly emerged from the septic tank and made his way back toward the cabin. That's when his eyes fell on the biscuit wrapper lying on the ground. In that moment, the truth hit him. His own hunger and carelessness had triggered this entire nightmare. The cabin was now completely destroyed. Everything had been looted, but the worst part was yet to come. His wife's condition had taken a turn for the worse. She lay unconscious on the bed, and they had no medicine left to help her. Jack felt utterly powerless. A dark thought crept into his mind. What if he had to end her suffering himself? But after losing his father, the idea of losing her too was unbearable. After wrestling with his thoughts, he made a decision. He would find those monsters, take back the medicine, and avenge his father's death. He placed the last bottle of water beside his wife and boarded up the door to keep her safe. Then, following the trail of his father's blood, Jack disappeared into the forest. Now he walks alone, unsure of how far he'll have to go. The cold bites into his skin. He's wearing nothing but a thin t-shirt and shorts. His body begins to freeze, his limbs go numb, and eventually he collapses to the ground. Just as he's about to lose consciousness, he spots a young boy passing by. Summoning his last ounce of strength, Jack begins to follow him. The boy notices Jack approaching and, terrified, runs to his house, slamming shut a rusty iron gate behind him. But the gate isn't strong enough to stop Jack. He kicks it repeatedly until it gives way. The frightened boy hides in his grandfather's arms. But Jack doesn't harm them. He simply grabs some clothes lying nearby, just enough to keep himself warm. After bundling up, he sets off once again, determined to track down the raiders' hideout. After wandering for some time, Jack stumbles upon a grim sight, remains scattered across the forest floor. The moment he sees them, a horrifying realization dawns on him. The raiders had done the unthinkable. Overwhelmed with disgust, he begins to vomit. Then, with a heavy heart, he gathers what's left and buries them with care. Grief weighs him down, but he forces himself to stay focused. His wife's life is still in danger, and time is slipping away. He knows he must find the raiders quickly and recover the medicine. But the trail of blood has vanished completely. That's when an idea strikes him. He climbs a nearby tree, hoping to spot something from above. Scanning the horizon, he finally sees smoke rising in the distance. Jack resumes his journey. Along the way, he spots a blue-colored tent. He steps inside, searching for anything useful. There, he finds a box of matches, a rusty knife, and a whistle. As he exits the tent, he unexpectedly runs into the same young boy from before. The boy, terrified, bolts into the woods. Jack doesn't follow. Instead, he continues along a narrow stream, letting it guide him deeper into the forest. Suddenly, he notices blood flowing in the water. He ducks behind a large rock. Peering over, he sees one of the raiders, a woman, cleaning a knife by the riverbank. As she begins to walk away, Jack picks up a stone and quietly follows her. Along the way, he notices traps set all around the perimeter of their hideout. Navigating carefully, he finally reaches the raiders' camp. There, he spots his backpack. He rushes to open it, hoping to find the medicine. But it's not there. Desperate, he searches the rest of the camp. Just then, the woman sneaks up behind him, ready to strike. But Jack catches her reflection in a mirror and dodges the attack. A fierce fight breaks out. She's strong, stronger than he expected, and begins to overpower him. But in a final burst of will, Jack grabs a nearby rock and strikes her. One blow is all it takes. She collapses instantly. Jack makes his way to a nearby RV, hoping to find the medicine. While searching, he notices the raiders returning to their camp. Acting quickly, he wipes away the bloodstains and hides the woman's body in a safer spot. When the raiders arrive, Jack sees the same young boy he had encountered earlier is now their captive. Meanwhile, the leader of the group notices something strange. The mirror inside the cabin has shifted. Suspicious, he calmly opens the cabinet, takes out the medicine, and distributes it among the wounded. Then, he locks the cabinet again. After that, the leader heads toward the riverbank, searching for the missing woman. but he finds no trace. One of his men discovers her weapon nearby. That discovery prompts the leader to gather the entire group and begin a full search. Jack, hidden in the bushes, quickly covers the woman's body with leaves and quietly slips into the camp. With the rest of the raiders gone, only one infected and injured man remains inside the RV. Jack seizes the moment and tries to rescue the boy, but the child, terrified, screams out loud. The noise alerts the infected man, who rushes out and sees the boy escaping. He begins to chase him, giving Jack a chance to reach the locked medicine box. Just as Jack is about to open it, he spots the leader returning to camp. He quickly hides beneath the RV. From there, he watches as the raiders discover the woman's body. Their reaction is intense. They're furious. But instead of harming her further, they choose to cremate her with an unexpected sense of respect. Jack remains hidden under the RV for the entire night. At dawn, while the leader is still asleep, Jack quietly sneaks into the RV. Using a small knife, he cuts the rope and carefully removes the key from around the leader's neck. He unlocks the medicine box, pockets the pills, and then uses the same lock to seal the RV door from the outside. Feeling victorious, Jack begins to run, but in his haste, he accidentally triggers a bell wire. The sound jolts the leader awake. He storms out, sees the door locked from the outside, and begins pounding on in rage until he finally breaks free. Jack keeps running, while the leader and his men chase him through the forest. Back at the cabin, his wife awakens to the sound of wild dogs. She sees that the cabin is surrounded, and one of the dogs is trying to squeeze through a crack in the door. Meanwhile, Jack is in a life-threatening situation, but thanks to his deep knowledge of the terrain, he manages to escape the raiders. He races through the woods and reaches the home of the old man and the boy. But what he finds shakes him. Tracks from multiple wild dogs cover the ground. Inside one of the rooms, Jack discovers the old man has fallen victim to the attack. The sight leaves him devastated. Staggering outside, he's too weak to fight anymore. That's when the raiders catch up and strike him from behind, knocking him unconscious. When Jack regains consciousness, he sees one of the raiders sharpening a knife. The others are gathered around, whispering darkly, as if planning something dreadful. Panic sets in, but then he remembers his wife. That thought reignites his will to survive. His eyes land on a whistle lying nearby. A plan begins to form. He blows the whistle with all his strength, and the piercing sound echoes through the forest. Hungry wild dogs, drawn by the noise, charge toward the camp. The leader realizes the danger and tries to stop Jack, but it's too late. The raiders scatter, fleeing from the approaching pack. Seizing the moment, Jack cuts the rope with a small knife and hides behind a nearby tree. He quickly changes into the raiders' clothes and slips away unnoticed. Once the dogs are driven off, the raiders regroup and begin searching for Jack. One of them spots the edge of a jacket behind a tree and lunges with a knife. But it's just fabric. No one's there. Jack, hiding above, leaps down and lands directly on the attacker, knocking him out cold. He quickly takes the man's clothes and moves the body out of sight. Soon, another raider spots Jack, but mistakes him for an ally. As he steps closer, Jack turns sharply and takes him down in one swift motion. After defeating the second raider, Jack takes his bow and arrows, the very ones crafted by his father. Fueled by vengeance, he sets out to find the leader. When they finally come face to face, Jack fires an arrow. It strikes the leader in the thigh, but the man, gritting through the pain, yanks it out. Jack tries to fire again, but the bowstring snaps. Now, both men stand vulnerable. Just then, the chilling growls of wild dogs echo nearby. With no other choice, they both flee into the forest. After running for miles, Jack reaches an old, abandoned house. He steps inside cautiously and spots a skeleton lying just outside the door, with a gun resting beside it. Jack picks up the weapon and enters the house. Inside, he finds some essential supplies and another firearm. With two weapons now in hand, he feels stronger, more prepared. As he begins packing food, he hears footsteps approaching. Turning around, he sees the leader. He's tracked Jack all the way here. Jack quickly aims the gun at him and pulls the trigger. But nothing happens. The gun is empty. The leader charges forward, knocking Jack to the ground and beating him mercilessly. Jack fights back, pressing hard on the leader's wounded thigh. The pain forces the man to loosen his grip. Jack seizes the moment, grabs the second weapon from the table, and fires without hesitation. The shot hits its target, and the leader falls, never to rise again. Jack has finally won. Without wasting a second, he races toward home. On the way, he stops by the boy's house and leaves behind 3 cans of food. Then he continues toward his cabin. But when he arrives, his heart sinks. The door is broken. His wife is nowhere to be seen. Overwhelmed by grief and despair, Jack falls to the ground. Just then, a gentle hand touches his shoulder from behind. That single moment sparks a flicker of hope. Jack realizes there's still something worth living for in this broken world. And with that, the story comes to an end. If you enjoyed this explanation, don't forget to like and comment on the video. For more thrilling and unforgettable stories, make sure to subscribe to the channel.